Hey guys, welcome back to the Cronecast. On this channel, you have access to my podcast, Logical Magic Examining Esoterica. We also have pick-a-cards, and that is what I have for you today. I have 3 piles in a pick-a-card. I do realistic relationship readings, meaning it's not going to be a highly romanticized thing, but we're asking about what do you need to know about your relationship. This is for people in an existing relationship who kind of want to know where it's going or what they might be facing. Take a moment, concentrate. You can pick by the deck in this one as well if you're really particularly drawn to the deck, but close your eyes, open it, see which one really calls out to you, and we're going to have a message for you about your relationship. There's going to be a moment here where you can concentrate on the cards, and I'll see you at the time of your reading. Hi there, if you chose pile number 1, this is your reading. We're putting the number 1 over there so people can easily fast forward to it. But there are timestamps in the description box down below. There always are. This is the Love Oracles, the Lover's Oracle. They'll be bringing you an Oracle card. I have other relationship Oracle decks that I'm likely to get involved here. And then the Sun and Moon Tarot is the one that is going to bring us an infinity spread about what do you need to know about your relationship. Hey guys, before I get started, please don't forget to subscribe. It helps my channel. If you want to know every time I post a reading, then you hit the post bell notification. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. That is the other way that you could support this channel. Please remember I have a Patreon where I do all kinds of extra things as well as weekly readings, monthly readings, and I'm teaching tarot in reverse. So I hope you're able to join me there. All of that will be linked in the description box down below. Queen of Cups in reverse. Give me a moment. Often that is a card about intuition, but here it's like a lack of emotional fulfillment. The Empress in reverse. What does pile number 1 need to know about their reading, their relationship? The Empress in reverse is like innovative solutions as well. Give me a moment here because this is conflicting with the normal meanings that I have for these cards. And I want the 8 of Swords in reverse. I have the 3 of Pentacles in the upright. 10 of Cups in reverse. Prince of Wands in the upright with the 4 swords in the upright and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Let's get 2 outcome cards over there that we will get into as the reading goes along. So this looks like a long-term relationship. You may be cohabitating. It does not look as if there's a lot of emotional fulfillment in reverse. Now, the Queen of Cups in reverse for me is normally like a gut feeling card. Pay attention to your intuition. Here, it's not. It looks like there isn't a lot of emotional give and take going on in the relationship that you're in, but that you're not ready to leave it behind. You just kind of don't know what to do with it. The innovative solution card of the Empress in reverse with the Page of Wands in the upright is like you need a hobby. You need something outside of your relationship. You need something new and exciting in your life to be able to compensate for a relationship that, like, sometimes we all get into that. When we're in long-term relationships or we're in committed relationships, like, it's all about meeting responsibilities and routines sometimes. A card of freedom and moving forward, the 4 of Swords, putting something to rest. It is also a card of looking inward. For some of you, developing your spiritual practice is going to be the best thing that you can do for the health of your relationship. If you're asking, how can I have more of an emotional connection with my partner? This is the way. This is the way. You need to find there needs to be something new introduced. Now, for some people, that can be like, you know, getting your freak on and learning new things to have going on in the bedroom, and good for you. But for other people, it is going to be about the introduction of something new to talk about. Your interest being piqued will pique your interest in your relationship again. It's like you need a new, like you can join a book club, you can take a class, you can join a hiking group, you need to get out there and start doing something because you're starting to feel a little confined and you're wondering if the relationship has run the course. It does not appear to have run the course. It just looks like in order to find more emotional fulfillment for your inner world, you need to expand your own personal world. Doesn't appear to be anything wrong with the relationship. With the 3 of Pentacles in the upright, just a small case of like life getting you down type of energy. Whoever your partner is, I don't have any problems here. Yay! No real problems other than make good choices around your own emotional fulfillment with that Princess of Cups in the upright. One more thing on that. For anybody here who's asking about conception, I have a good energy around that. I do have a good energy around that, but that there may be the need to educate yourself about things like diet and different positions and things, because that is one of the meanings that I have here. Is there may be a difficulty in conceiving with the Empress in reverse. That is one of the meanings of the Empress in reverse. But that doing the work and actually breaking, like introducing that new interest will break the focus on it, which will allow you to relax, because there's a stress factor involved here as well. Two of Swords in the upright is like, sometimes it's denial. Listen, remember, I told you I'm a realistic reader. Realistically, nobody else ever meets all of our emotional needs. And it is kind of like on us to try and figure out to like, well, what can I do to be happier? It seems to me like this is a pile of somebody who's involved with someone who, and it does really look like a committed relationship. I have no third party action here. I have nothing that's concerning me. But it does look like you're like, why aren't I happy? Or why won't this person meet more of my emotional needs? And it's like, well, it's actually, you need to find something new and exciting to put into your life. Because what breaks long-term relationships is when we try and make the other person be everything to us, our best friend, our best, you can't wear that many hats in relationship without it starting to be a strain. And the thing that's being recommended here is to get out there and do something in your own individual energy that will bring a new energy into your relationship. By the way, it looks like it works. Here we go. Give thanks for the blessings of love soon to come your way. Know that you deserve to be and have all that your heart truly desires. Here, kind of what I've got on this is just like a pile of somebody who just wants a little bit more. And remember, real passion, because most people get together because they're attracted to each other, it usually like burns out in about 3 years. And the compatibility going forward is what allows you to. When you're starting to have the fires die down in a relationship, go and start a fire somewhere else, and it doesn't need to be in a romantic relationship. It needs to be sparking interest in your existence, and that is one of the things that this pile is saying. Let's get one more on this, and we're going to go to the Romance Angels. Sexual union. Honor the place in one another where you are one eternal soul, for you will find true bliss. Hey, at the top of this, I said, for some people, it's like start experimenting a little bit. Have some fun. Have some fun. Watch some movies. Read some books. Have a little bit more sexy time, and it would help. But for the most part, honest to goodness, it looks to me like there's a feeling of like, sameness that you really need to break in order to strengthen the connection that you have. It's nice to see a draw on a relationship where like there's a little bit of a barrier to communication, but it seems to have something to do with work. It seems like people are really, really focused in this particular pile on meeting the needs and the responsibilities. As I said, for some people, you're struggling with the idea of conception and wondering whether it will happen. There's some validity to the idea that an introduction of something that isn't that focus. Whenever I'm having trouble making something manifest, focus on something else for a while. Don't forget about it, but expand your focus in order to expand the energy, because it's a blocking and a rigid energy. Let's get some higher love oracle cards. What else do we need to know about this relationship? There's not a ton of, like, it seems like most of the communication in this relationship is about, like, we have to be at your mom's on Sunday for whatever it is, Mother's Day, or, like, there's a lot of, like, routine involved in this relationship, and that you will feel happier when you invite new experiences into your life that are outside of your relationship. And you're not being told to go and have a hookup with somebody else. What I'm seeing on this table is this is actually a good relationship. And the reason that you might be watching this is just, you might have some concerns about where it goes from here. This is a normal phase. This is a normal phase. Like I said, that like can't stop tearing each other's clothes off phase usually lasts for about 3 years. It comes and it goes after that. Like you'll have periods of greater, like, you'll find that if you start branching outside of your current relationship to have new interests and experiences, you'll find that it returns from time to time, because you're actually really happy to see the person and they are happy to see you afterwards. Some separate, like the distance makes the heart grow fonder type of thing, also works with passion. Is like it also can wake up somebody who's not putting in the effort any longer. seeing you engaged in new interests, in pursuing potentially new classes and new learning experiences, it can be new hobbies too, is one of the things that reminds somebody that like, there's more to be had in life. And it's almost like one of you needs to get the ball rolling a little bit. Can I get going here? What else do I need to know about this relationship? Overall, a good relationship. Be careful when we get into that, like kind of everything's in a routine, a rut type of energy. There can be a temptation to just find another person. But remember, it will be a pattern that repeats, that there will always be that initial, like, butterflies and excitement. And then eventually it dies down because that's just the nature of it. And again, that the way to bring it back, to reignite it, is to find new interests, not new partners. Because, if you put on this work, and there's no toxicity on this table. There's no toxicity. I have sudden progress and change. Soulmate, awesome. End of a learning cycle. Soulmate again, and then I have, destructive behaviors with limitations. The only thing I have on destructive behaviors is, and this will not apply to everybody, so if you're watching this pile, do not feel in any way accused, because it's nothing about that. Remember, until you learn how to do things differently, sometimes we repeat patterns. And the pattern that may be on a repeating phase is that you might, or they might, have had a history of moving on. That like you don't know how to handle the period after something has cooled down. It's like, well, how do I sustain this? If you think that like a long-term relationship is, long-term relationships need to have an element of, what do we do outside of having sex? They need to have an element of, even in like really, I heard a therapist once say that in a healthy relationship, a good sex life was about 25% of the relationship. And in a bad relationship, it could be about 90%, meaning that like if it's not going well, it's that like your focus on sex is a great deal because it's the only form of connection that you have. But exterior to that is that we're supposed to remember that that's not the only part of our existence with another person. That when you're looking for a partner to build this Ten of Cups energy, which is the emotional fulfillment of long-term connection, that you have to make room for the ebbs and the flows that life will bring to you. Whoever you're with right now appears to be trying to accomplish something and puts a lot of energy into that. They do not seem to be straying on any level. If you're feeling a little bit like forgotten, that you again find a different interest, find something to learn about. It can be astrology if you like that. I mean, you're watching a tarot card reading, you have interest in this particular area. Find something to educate yourself about, to get excited about. New things bring new passion, and new passion in your life leads to more passion in your sex life. There we go. Let's see what else we have for pile number 1 about the existing relationship that they are in. I'm going to switch focuses on what I'm asking about to wrap this up here in a moment. Give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. Makes perfect sense to me. I have a feeling that there may be an element of temptation to engage in something to have that excitement again. You can get it back with that person. There's enough on this table that it's like, it seems to me like the only thing that's going on with this is maybe looking to one person to be too many things, to wear too many hats, and to know that the life that you build together will allow you to maintain a sense of independence and autonomy if you are continuing to pursue things that are of interest to just you. Don't do everything as a unit and you won't get bored with each other. Bring new experiences that are not threatening to the relationship into the relationship, and it will revive that interest in that particular area. I'm going to move outside of the relationship to we're going to talk a little bit about what does the queerant need to know about this level of dissatisfaction, emotional dissatisfaction that I'm seeing here. Appreciation. This guy tried to come with it. Journey. What else do we need to know? That's what's missing. If you do the same things day after day, if all of your life is about meeting your responsibilities and making sure the kids get to daycare or picking them up from soccer or whatever it might be, of course you're going to get bored. But it really is, the onus is on us to find what we can look towards for more interest. If you're always looking for your spark and your interest in another person, that means that you will always need to be moving on from a relationship. And it is a normal phase in development, by the way, for people to like, hey, you know, the spark burned out and then I moved on to somebody else. And the spark burned out and then I moved on to somebody else. But if a lot of work has gone into building a life together, what you need to do is, instead of moving on to somebody else, is to find, where else can that spark exist? And then it will reignite it within your relationship. Appreciation and journey. The appreciation card is about finding things in life to appreciate. It is about the gratitude card. There is a strange feeling of loneliness on these cards, and it's because, remember what I said about, it's great to be married to somebody that you feel is your best friend, or be living with somebody, or be involved with somebody, but that all relationships break under the strain of too many expectations. And to diversify your interest will be to reignite passion that will then carry forward into your relationship, and then wake the other person up a little bit around what they need to be contributing. Adjacent possibilities. That is the crown chakra, which is a connection to the divine. It is also reaching for your higher self. Hey, listen, I'm sorry to keep revisiting this. It really feels like on this one that I've got somebody, because it can really be down to one person, who is considering a union outside of their relationship because they're just a little bit like, it feels like the tires on their relationship truck have gone a little bit flat. And they're wondering if that excitement of a new person would be the thing to really spark it. Remember, that has to do with your sacral chakra, and that it's your creativity chakra. To go towards something that is creative. Take an improv class, as a for instance, even if you've never done it. Try something new to reignite your relationship and your interest in it. But the ultimate advice on this one is, the relationship that you're in, please give your relationship a chance. Because it eventually, that possibility of just having another relationship and going towards another person, if that's your go-to in trying to reignite your interest in life, then you will have to do it over and over and over again. Because only people who are truly unpredictable, and that leads to a lack of complete loss of security within a relationship, keep that spark alive. You can try new things. That is, like, you don't need my permission for anything, but you can try new things to reignite that passion within your sex life. But it kind of looks like maybe you're both a little overextended on your responsibilities, and that the best thing to do is instead to seek it from an exterior source that is not some form of exterior relationship, because it'll make you excited about your life again in a way that if you go on to another person, it will just burn out again, because that is actually the nature of that particular energy. Long-term relationships need compatibility as well as passion. When you run out of passion within a compatible relationship, don't look for another relationship, look for another passion. Okay? That was your message, pile number one. Hey, you want to book me for a private reading to help you figure out what those answers might be? You can do so at therisingmoon.com. It's the only way to book me. Please don't forget I have a Patreon. Everything is linked below. And I hope that helped. Take care. Welcome back. Hey, if you chose pile number 2, this is your reading. We're going to put the number 2 over there so people can easily fast forward to their readings, but there are always timestamps in the description box down below. Messages of Love Oracle cards will be bringing you at least one Oracle card from that. The Sun, the Moon Tarot is the deck that I chose to create all of the infinity spreads, which is what I always use on YouTube these days. Let's get going for pile number 2. This is about an existing relationship, and what do you need to know about your relationship? Please keep in mind that I'm kind of a realistic reader, meaning that I'm not going to highly romanticize anything in here. It's not necessarily going to be talking about soulmates. It might be talking about relationship issues around communication, that kind of thing. Before I get started, please don't forget to subscribe because it helps my channel. And if you want to book me for a private reading, there is a link to my website in the description box down below. I have a Patreon and I have a podcast that are also available on this channel. 8 of Cups in reverse. So we've got the 2 Swords in the upright and we've got the 8 of Cups in reverse. Looks like somebody is considering getting back together with their ex. With the 5 of Pentacles in the upright, which is a card of isolation, sometimes ill health. It can be about money as well. That comes out with the Queen of Swords, which can be facing a difficult truth. It can be a situation in which communication is a struggle as well. I have the High Priestess in the upright, which is one of the cards of hidden motivations and underlying issues. I have the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, which is one of the cards that I do actually see as indicating, like, a previous failure, meaning this really does appear to be somebody who has either gotten back together with an ex or is considering getting back together with an ex, and that it may have been loneliness that was at the factor of this, feeling like I've got all this time in, why wouldn't I continue to pursue this? Nine of Cups in reverse, which is disappointment with the world outside of it, and then the Ten of Swords again, which is something is over, but something new begins. We're going to take our 2 cards. This one's a little bit more complicated, huh? Okay, so let's talk about our infinity spread. This can be about practicing denial. If you are considering a second go-round or a third go-round with another person, that to examine your motivations and to make sure that they're not related to fear. Because if it's like, I'm afraid of being alone, until you're comfortable and happy being by yourself, that is actually what people talk about with you have to love yourself first, is you usually will settle for less than you deserve. And to be aware that just, it's fine if you want to make that decision around security, it's a frightening world, but that you need to look for emotional fulfillment in other areas of your life if that's what you're going to have be your motivating factor in a relationship. This isn't about judgment at all. It's a scary world, and not everybody makes enough money to live in a single household. If you are considering a relationship, a redo with a relationship, know that it'll be better for a little while first, and then it's going to fall back into the same pattern because there hasn't been any meaningful change on the part of the other person. I don't like the way that they handle conflict, and they seem like they can be a little bit belittling. And so if you're going to do this, then to keep your head in the game about knowing why you're doing it. And sometimes it's a little bit about, trying to find the path to freedom. But to please not let fear be the thing, because the Five of Pentacles in the upright, these are marked with the Thoth interpretation, which is going to say worry. But the Five of Pentacles is about anxiety. It's about being left out in the cold. It can be about rejection as well. I have the Five of Cups in reverse, which is making the most of a situation after a period of loss, and then the Ten of Wands in reverse, which is a releasing energy. Pile number 2, if you are talking about the reunited type of energy that these cards are, and by the way, if you're not, then this can't be your pile. This is a relationship that has gone through at least one significant breakup and has returned. There is still a lack of emotional security and communication because the person has an underlying issue that they will not address. But that, again, to keep in mind that if you are stuck in a set of circumstances where you need somebody for financial support, potentially have children together, that to understand why you're there and to continue to make your exit strategy so that you can be fully independent, because these type of situations have a tendency to get worse over time. And to keep that in mind, that even if it's a here and the now, I have to do this, then keep it in mind that I'm doing it while making a plan for how could I make things different going forward. There does not appear to be any physical abuse. I would never ever recommend that somebody stay in a situation in which they were not physically safe. But there appears to be an emotional coldness around this particular energy. If you're wondering if it's going to improve or if they've changed, because it might have been at their incentive that you revisited this relationship, they do not appear to have changed. It looks like the outcome, if you look to it to be a long-term solution for your happiness, doesn't have a lot of gratification at the end of it, because the Nine of Cups in the upright is the card of emotional fulfillment, and the Nine of Cups in reverse is an overall disappointing experience. Remember, people, when they're trying to woo you towards something, can present a little bit of a false front on that. The thing is that I don't have a ton of effort on this other person's point, and that it does look like eventually, Ten of Wands in reverse, it does look like something that you would eventually release. And that is something to keep in mind, that the things that drove you apart in the past will come back. Leap of faith, do not read these. They don't have an impact on my, if you want to, you can. Just know that I'm a keyword reader. So all I'm looking at is the leap of faith energy, which is trying again energy. It's safe for you to make the move you're considering, is what that particular one says. What else do we have for pile number 2 on what looks like a redo on a past relationship? Okay. Intuition. You already know the answer you seek. And I've got, true love. And one more on it. Different pages. You and this person don't share the same vision. I would agree with that. I'm just going to go ahead and agree with that. And then we have support. Listen, I never ever want to hurt anybody while doing these readings. It's never ever going to be my goal. Having said that, you can't, it's the apples and oranges things where these two things are unmixy. It looks to me like there is a different human being for you in terms of what a real love would be. And that this particular person, it's more about security. It's more about security. The different pages, the true love in different pages. I'm going to be really, really frank. It looks to me like the person you're asking about does not have the same relationship to relationships that you do. Meaning that, I tell this to clients all the time, and I don't mean it to be gendered, but it is about our societal programming. Men get married when they're trying to be responsible. And women have a tendency to get married because they think it is about emotional fulfillment. And those two things clash. And it leads to a lot of unhappiness in people who are looking towards their partner to be on the same page with them. And that do whatever you think is right and seek the guidance that you think will be right for you. That if you need to get a reading, it does not need to be from me, it just needs to be from somebody you trust. But it does look like this is a repeating energy signature, and that your awareness of it is the thing that will change the situation. Is that if you don't overly invest emotionally in this person, then it doesn't seem as if they would have the same potential to hurt you. And it does seem to me like there was pain in the past. That it was overall a disappointing experience from your level of investment versus their level of investment in the past. And to stop thinking it's about whether or not they love you, and to remember that it's different people, and particularly it can be a very gendered thing. Different people hold a different space for what a relationship is supposed to mean. And please revisit what I just said about men in most societies marry when they are trying to be responsible, when they think it's time. There are all kinds of psychological studies that men marry the woman that is in their life when they are ready to get married, versus being like, you're the person I think I want to marry. Now, you will always meet people outside of the norm on that, where they're like, I saw her and I immediately knew, and I wasn't even in that space, but I didn't want to let her go. And that, of course, will happen. By and large, generalizations exist because they are generally true. And it really does look like this person just does not have the same romantic soul. And it could be you, because it can go either way in relationships. It's just that it appears to be a security, a stability move on the part of this particular person when they're looking at romantic relationships. And that is just a factor of a world in which deprivation and not having enough can be a defining aspect. We have hammer, sabotage, rebuilding, interrogation, repetitive, persistent, and working on it. The Grim Reaper, the relationship is over, no second chances, grow and transform your life. The Sword and the Rose, clarity, truth, revelation, solidarity, force, honor, protection, and power. The next one would be someone expresses love, a message of love, thinking of you and letting you know. I'm going to put that over there because when that card went down, the intuition energy was like, it's like you know this person is not really the real deal. But that you keep hoping that they'll become the real deal because you told them they need to be it. Again, it just appears from what I'm picking up that they can't be, because how they approach relationships is just different. It's just different from how you approach a relationship. And that's not a value judgment at all. It's just a clarity issue. The Queen of Swords in reverse is facing a difficult truth. And sometimes the difficult truth that we have is that we can focus on the wrong person because we make too much of it's about me if they don't return my feelings. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. Different people hold a different space for where romance and love exists for them. What else do we have for pile number 2? And like I said, I felt like when True Love went down in different pages, it's like there is a different person. But the work that you would want to do is putting in the work to be like, well, how do I need to understand myself more? What emotional needs do I have to learn how to fulfill for myself, so that I'm not looking to a partner to do that any longer? Because we get these really romanticized views of what a partnership will be like. And again, I'm just going to go back towards the please. In most places, women and men are socialized to have a different approach to what partnership and love means. And that it's not about your worth, and it's not about like, hey, if I was a better person, they'd fall so very deeply in love with me. Some people aren't constructed that way. And some people are socialized away from it, and you never know what they grew up around and saw. And historically, marriages really have been about building security and stability within a civilization and within a society. And it's actually a little bit rare to find that true spark and that connection, and that we find it when we're in true alignment with ourselves. This is a draw of somebody who's, it's like you don't want your effort to have been wasted. We can't change another person, but we can change ourselves, and we can try and, again, facing a different truth about something being done, but something else being left over. My feeling on this, and remember, if it doesn't match, if it's upsetting you, I apologize, I would never want to hurt you. But what this draw is reflecting is that this is not the one. Unrequited love. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. For yourself, it's time to take back control of your life. Hey, pile number 2. Let's move on from this. I'm not going to cut the reading off there, okay? I think we've said enough about the relationship. Let's get some cards about what would help you, okay? If you haven't just clicked away, which is a completely understandable thing to do if the reader has just said something upsetting. But let's talk to the cards a little bit about what does pile number 2 need to know about how to be happier, how to find that love from within until they find the right person to give it to them in the external world. The lotus within you, you are a master of light on high, in light on high. That honest to goodness is speaking a spiritual connection with your highest self. Is try to go towards a spiritual practice to try and learn how to have self-love so that you're not looking to another person to provide all your love. And I have something to tell you, that feeling of love that we can have for somebody, particularly in those situations where one person gives more than the other, that feeling we have, that person isn't creating it within you. It is the ability that you have to love very, 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 very deeply. And it does come in different depths and strengths for different people, but that it would come for another person who is willing to match your energy. The relationship you're asking about has an unmatched energy, but that what you would want to do is find your balance within, which is about improving your relationship to self. What else do we have for pile number 2? Feel the power and blood of your ancestors. You are not alone. It's not scary to be by yourself. It's not scary. You learn how to build confidence. You learn how to rely on yourself so that that improves every relationship you have, because you will have it for the quality and the strength of the relationship when it's not about being like, I've never really been single. I don't know how to do that. Figure it out. Learn to be that person. Learn how to be by yourself, and you will never allow the wrong person to, and it has nothing to do with remaining single. You will never allow the wrong person to linger and take up your time with false promises. If you are able to just be like, you know what, I have a happy life with just me because I treat me right. I treat me right. I understand me. I never shame myself for my feelings. I'm kind to me. I'm good to me. And so I'm not looking to another person to do all the things I can legitimately learn how to do for myself. And so the relationships that you have are the ones that add to your happy existence already, instead of having it try to create your happiness. And like I said, I get it. Like, this is likely not going to be the world's most popular message. It's the one that will help you find happiness that is not in the hands of another person so much, because they can be very damaging with that. And the thing I said at the very top of this is that, like, I kind of like the way this person talks sometimes. With the black cat, your luck will soon change. It's also an intuition card. The Caduceus of the Caduceus is one of those words that I really only ever see in print. You will receive news from afar. Medusa, jealousy leads to a downfall. It's an attachment energy. The chalice, rejuvenation and fulfillment. I am not picking up a third-party type of gig here. I'm not picking up a third-party type of gig. What I am picking up is that one person gives way too much and the other person is very comfortable in taking, and that there may be a rebound energy, like a redo energy on this, that has to do with, it's like, please, I think I got it the first time in saying that some people get married or have long-term relationships as a responsibility thing. And that if you're somebody who's a very, very romantic person, that it doesn't have to do with whether or not you're lovable. It has to do with how they view relationships. Lovers, there are two paths ahead. Be true to yourself. Keep going until you find the relationship and the love that you deserve. And until such time as you find it from another person, you learn how to give it to yourself. I wish this was like a little bit more like, you know, joyous bells ringing type of energy. They're not all going to be like that. And I did say at the top of this, not all readers have a message for everybody. So if you're like, this is a terribly painful, maybe it's not your message. But if it resonates with your circumstances, please hear me on this. You deserve the real deal. What I've got on this table is somebody who will put their heart and soul into a relationship. And if somebody isn't returning that energy, then give that to yourself until the person who truly appreciates your ability to commit to them and focus on them and love them and care about them comes along. And in the meantime, you learn how to focus on yourself, you learn how to love yourself, and you learn how to appreciate yourself. And why somebody should always be nice to you, because that is the role of, you have to love yourself first. When readers say that and they don't explain what they mean, it can be mystifying. It sounds like you're doing something wrong. You're not doing something wrong, it's that you're not knowing your value. Because all of the love that you have, you're trying to give to another person instead of giving it to yourself so that you can experience the wonder that is your love. And then once you do, you will never ever accept poor treatment in the name of love again, because your self-respect makes you turn away from the people who would treat you poorly or say they're going to do one thing and then do another. Say one thing, do another. We have Lion. Harness the loyal and protective aura of the lion and charge ahead magnificently. That's a courage card as well. Owl. There are spiritual messages and great wisdom to be found during this period of transition. Pile number 2. Please don't be disheartened, because one of the things that I picked up, and I wondered why I picked it up so quickly in that reading, was that there is somebody else for you. But that to first be that person for you, and then you will find the person who has great respect for who you are and what you bring to a table. And if this has in any way hurt you, please understand that would never, ever, ever be my intent. But that when I agreed with my guides to go back to doing relationship readings, I wanted to make sure that they were as truthful as possible. Because romance is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. But it can be used against particularly the people who invest deeply, to think that their love will heal another person, and the only time we ever heal is when we decide we're going to heal. Take all of the love that you are trying to give to another and give it to yourself. Know that if you're in a repeating pattern and you've given somebody a second chance, that it looks like the outcome's pretty much the same, but that you can change all of that by changing how you view yourself and how you approach yourself with love. I'm sorry if that was a difficult message. Hey, if you want to book me for a private reading, talk about this more, attherisingmoon.com is linked in the description box down below. It's the only way to book me. I have a Patreon that actually helps people heal and be in their own power, so please consider that. That is also linked below. Take care. Be well. Welcome back. Hey, if you chose pile number 3 as your reading, we're going to put the number 3 over there so people can easily fast forward to their readings. There will be timestamps in the description box down below. There always are. Sun and Moon Tarot are going to be bringing you an infinity spread for the relationship that you're asking about. And then we have the Hidden Truth is the Oracle card deck that you chose. I will likely incorporate other ones as the reading reveals the need for them. Let's get going here. What does pile number 3 need to know about their relationship? And remember, I'm a realistic relationship reader, meaning that it is more likely to be talking about your obstacles, a couple of other things. But let's see. Let's go. What's going on in the relationship for pile number 3? Hey guys, please don't forget to subscribe because it helps my channel. Interesting. So friendship card. If you want to book me for a private reading, attherisingmoon.com is the only way to do so. And my Patreon is also linked below. You can find anything to do with Logical Magic, my podcast, here on this and on all of the major services. 3 of Cups in the upright. That's a friendship card, a celebration card. Ace of Wands. Is this a friends with benefits? And with the Queen of Cups in reverse, it looks like friends with benefits. Eight of Swords in the upright, which is kind of a doubt energy. It can be a no path forward energy. Prince of Pentacles in reverse. Sometimes it's a daughter energy. Sometimes it's a like failure to learn a lesson. Seven of Wands in reverse, which is a surrender. Knowing the battle is not to fight. Moon in the upright, underlying issues. I have the Ten of Cups in reverse, which is an unhappy family situation. And we're going to put our two outcome cards over there. So first up, please remember, 0-0 judgment, but this appears to be a potential third-party situation for some people. For others, it is a friends with benefits where you're wondering if it's going anywhere. On both counts, it appears to not have a significant long-term path going forward. It looks like there is no true path forward. That is one of the meanings of the Eight of Swords in the upright. Four Swords in reverse with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, which is about releasing something. It's not super toxic, and I'm not seeing any giant underlying issues with this. It's just, it kind of looks like maybe it's been fun. And that to keep it in that space, like you're not being told to leave it behind for your emotional wellness, but that if you are particularly involved with somebody who's currently married, know that like there's a lot more going on there than they reveal. That like they tell the side of the story that justifies what they do sometimes, and that's just normal. There does not appear to be anything nasty about this particular person. They're not trying to jerk you around. But it's like for both scenarios present, there's a friends with benefits scenario, and then there's a third party with like the other individual is married. It just appears to be something that as the passion of it plays out over time, there'll be the lack of true emotional connection is going to, and support is going to be the thing that really kind of allows you to release it with very little pain. It does look like you're able to move on from this fairly easily. I don't have a heartbreak card on this one. If it's one of those third-party situations where like you break apart for 6 months and you get back together, you give into temptation, that type of thing, it's just the heat of it and the excitement of it. The best thing to do for that is to look for interest in other areas of your life. I hide my feelings. I find you so attractive. I miss seeing you. I need security. I'm not financially stable. For the people in the friends with benefits situation, this is such a hard one to say, but it almost feels like the person can't really afford to pursue a relationship right now because they may be pursuing a degree or they may be pursuing a promotion. That they're like part of the reason. And if you're telling yourself that they would otherwise like be pursuing a relationship with you, I really get this kind of, they've got their eyes on a different prize energy. But let's check the romance angels. I don't mean another person. I mean that their focus isn't on this particular. It appears to have a lot of heat, but it does not appear to have a ton of duration. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And for the people in the third party situation, the person is involved in a relationship in which they would lose too much in order to leave it behind. And so they will just kind of always ping pong back and forth between another person and their relationship. But that they worked really hard to put together that stability, and they're not willing to sacrifice it. Because apparently they have a partner who like is willingly turning a blind eye. That's what it looks like. We have past life relationship, retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. It does. It looks like it's one of those situations where it's a hidden relationship either way. You have known each other before, and then retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. Hey, listen, if it's one of those wonderful, like, barn burner type of things where you just have so much heat for each other, enjoy that. Enjoy that while it's in your life, and to just maybe not overinvest emotionally too much in where it's supposed to go. Because it does look to me, one of the meanings of the retreat card, by the way, is the beginning of a new relationship. Where, like, you just get together to do the do type of thing. And that really, honest to goodness, feels like one of these situations. If you're in a situationship with somebody, that's the one that feels very much like they have their eye on something different. They're moving forward towards something. And this is not an area of their life that they're putting much energy or thought into developing. meaning that if they ever really do, or they're ready to have the big relationship there, it will be at a different stage for them. Okay, let's see who you are. We've got Axe, breakup, separation, stop the pattern, silent treatment, and abandonment. Hand of cards came out with it, which is take a chance, risk, being strategic, options, not showing hand, and gambling. Not showing hand goes along with the I hide my feelings and I'm not financially stable. We'll take one more on that. Is there anything else for this particular relationship? Whenever I do a relationship reading versus a who's coming up reading, it can be difficult. Not today. Not dealing, hurt, avoiding a conversation, call, person, boundaries, still angry. We want one more? Healthy choices was next. Healthy choices, making healthy choices in love and life, self-love, self-care, being happier. This is a hard one because when we're really, really into somebody, like whether or not they're willing to focus on us and make us the priority can like get involved with our self-worth. Remember, you have worth as a human being, as a partner, as everything outside of whether or not somebody chooses to focus on you. And that's like the main message of this is that whether it's the friends with benefits situation or a third party situation, that it won't mean that you're the worthy or something if somebody chooses you. All it will mean is that they were choosing you, and honest, and like for whatever reasons. It doesn't have to do with your worth, it has to do with what page they're on. It can be a very, very difficult situation when we really, like, we have that magnetic attraction, we're super, super drawn to somebody. It feels like it'll never be as good as with this particular person. Yeah, well, it's like, let the fire burn brightly, but know that, like, that's not the only way that a spark can catch. Have fun with what is there, but if it isn't fitting into, we have it just kind of looks to me like in the third party situation and with the friends with benefits, that it's not going where, like they're maybe into the idea of keeping their options open. And it's nothing to do with you. That doesn't mean that you're not lovable. It just means that that's the space that they hold for relationships. And that's one of the things that we have to kind of deal with. Let's check the Amira Love cards to see if, I feel like we've said enough about this and that I should move on to see what would help you. Karma, toxic story, new opportunities. A karmic relationship is what it looks like. To teach us lessons about what your true worth is. If this is hurting you on any level, I would never, ever seek to hurt anybody on purpose. When I say I do realistic readings, sometimes they're going to contain things that we don't want to hear. But that our guides are like, please look at this because you deserve the real deal. And if this person can't give you the real deal, then, have fun with it if you're having fun with it. But let it go if it's hurting you. Because this particular relationship appears to be, again, toxic story. With new opportunities. And I need you to listen on one thing, the thing that I'm getting on the potential of a third party situation on this particular one. We're going to pull this up. We're going to take different cards for what you can do going forward. That person is a little bit chronic in that area. They have a runner's energy where they're avoidant of true intimacy, so that whenever they're truly involved with somebody, they look for another person to kind of keep it feels like they're lessening their risk. That they're a little bit of a risk manager there because most relationships are a little bit about stability for them. Sometimes we see the person, and you know an old saying, if you spot it, you got it? There's a flip side to that. If you don't possess it, you can't perceive it. Meaning that, like, if you can't imagine having relationships for, like, purely selfish motives or because they make you feel good and it doesn't matter if you're entangling the other person, you can't spot that in another person. Now, I didn't see anything anywhere near that cold-blooded. I didn't. But what I did see was somebody whose space for relationships has more to do with stability and security than with romance at this particular time. And then the friends with benefits thing, like, they're just not ready. And it's like, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. And if I tell you the number that just popped into your head, it's going to be about 15 years. It's going to be a while. We have energized. Each and every morning, I wake up with vitality, ready to live my life to the fullest. This energy is becoming of me, and I notice how beneficial it is to my present moment. When tired, I will simply rest, then keep moving forward. So energized is about that focus on finding your universal flow. It is about being able to be connected to your higher self, which always wants the absolute best for us. And then we have dreamer. Even during times that discourage me from carrying on, I will continue to follow my dreams. No matter how difficult, though road bumps will set me back, I have determined that giving up is not an option. I will never abandon my dreams. Make your dreams about your story, not about a love story. I have said that in the past. I will likely say it again. Your higher self, you are writing your epic journey. You are not writing a romance novel. And that it is partially that we really are programmed to believe that that's the point of relationships, whereas the point of our existence is learning what we're here to do, learning what we're here to learn. And sometimes that does involve love, but it can't be the sole focus, because that means that our life story becomes too much in the power of another person's hands. And that make your dreams about what you're trying to accomplish with your life. And if it is a long-term relationship, don't look for it in places that like the person doesn't really possess the ability to do that. And when it comes to people who have difficulty with intimacy and may have a third partner outside of a committed relationship, that they are exhibiting a runner's energy, and that it's not about the person that they're with, it's about the work that they have to do that they're not doing. And then we have yes and no. I'm always allowed to say the word no, even to people that I love. To say yes at all times may lead to exhaustion and mental fatigue. I can help others, but I must also help myself preserve my energy. It says not, like I said, you've got a karmic marker on this one, which karma is about lessons. It's not about rewards or punishment. Karma teaches us lessons about how to be in connection to our highest self and how to get the best outcomes that we can possibly get. And when we all do it sometimes, we invest in somebody because we think they're what we want. But then if they were really that person, the right person for us, they wouldn't have to fundamentally change in order to become that person. We can't be with who we hope somebody is. We have to recognize them and meet them where they are, because only they can determine to change. And people never change for another person. They change because they see the need within their own existence of the change. Ask for help from others. What else? These are the angel answer cards. What else are we supposed to do? There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It feels like having some more honest conversations about this relationship and what the people who care about you think about it. Like, they're going to tell you the truth if you tell them, please tell me the truth. And then try not to get defensive, because often we're very defensive against information that like doesn't fit with our dreams and our hopes. In every tarot card reading, part of the reason people can't really read for themselves very effectively is there's something called a hopes and fears scenario. And when we're reading for ourselves, we're more or less likely to see what we're afraid of or what we're hoping for. And then we've got not the right time, don't stop, recovery. Sounds like healing. All right, so don't stop healing. Ask for help from others. There is a vague, for those who are open to it, potentially look towards therapy. Because a lot of the times, the reason that we are very attached to the idea of someone who isn't choosing us has to do with something that in our attachment style. Whether or not we have abandonment issues or emotional intimacy issues, or I've actually done a podcast on attachment styles. Whether or not someone is avoidant. Sometimes people can have quite a chaotic attachment style if they've suffered a tremendous amount of trauma. So pile number 3, I'm super sorry, but my cards are saying that the one that you're asking about, and if it doesn't fit your energy, it's not your reading. A general reading can't contain messages for everybody. So let it go if it's like, no, that can't possibly be true. Maybe I just don't have a message for you. But for those who are still with me here and you're like, no, this is hitting on too many levels, please remember that in order to get the love that would truly make you happy, first you have to be able to turn away from the people who are not likely to give it. We all look for our answers in the wrong places sometimes, and the place to turn after that is within, to find out why we're in a pattern, because that's what karma also contains, is our cycles. I heard a relationship expert talking about, is he your type or is he your pattern? And it's almost always your pattern. And when you figure out why you're in a pattern, you can break it. The Caduceus, which is one of the medical cards. I did get a feeling that for some people, it's not going to be for everybody, and you're not being told you're sick. It's just that talking to another person, and I do this with tarot as well. If you want to talk to me, you're welcome to talk to me. but you will receive news from afar. It is the good give and take of talking about what you're working on to try and get better outcomes. Medusa, jealousy will lead to a downfall. And then we've got the chalice, rejuvenation and fulfillment, and then the siren, temptation may lead you astray. With absolutely, remember this is not an accusation. It is just a state of being that is encouraged by our entire world. But it looks like there's a codependency figure here where you're a little bit too attached to this relationship, and that there's just a little bit of healing work to do within so that the right person can come along for you. Pile number 3, I'm sorry. What I always want to tell people is your soulmate, you're going to be happy forever. This particular pile did not contain that information about this relationship. But if the specifics that started this out, where it's a friends with benefits or a third-party situation, if that fits, there's a part of you that's like, yeah, it would already have gone to where it's supposed to go. And that's why not all third-party situations are equal. Sometimes people remain in a relationship where they're the only reason they're in it is for stability. But then they meet somebody else and they discover that emotional world, and then they take steps towards resolving it. If it isn't resolved fairly quickly, the chances that the person will resolve it are pretty low. And that's something that maybe talking to somebody who has some professional training in helping you understand your attachment style might help with. Like I said, realistic love readings, which means they're not super romantic, but they will help you find the love you truly deserve. Because once we're healed, then we can find what we truly deserve, and we clear all our karmic relationships. Pile number 3, that was your reading. If you want to book me for a private reading, at therisingmoon.com. I have a Patreon, and I have a podcast as well. Everything is linked below. Take care, be well, and know that, like, if you're willing to love somebody that much, they need to return it in order to be worthy of it. Okay? Take care.